Welcome back, everyone. It's Typhoon Carter, and welcome to another part of my FE8 Reverse Recruitment LTC. Today we have Chapter 11. We had to do a lot of preparation for this chapter, but first we have to get two promotions out of the way in Natasha and Luke. Luke needs to go Mage Knight because we need the magic increase so she can one-round some enemies. For Natasha, she's going to promote to Bishop so that she can get an increase in her staff rank, plus the extra 1 magic. Another thing with this chapter is that we don't have access to overworld preparations after this one, so we had to do a lot of preparing. Anyways, this chapter is a route map, and there's a couple of things we have to do. For starters, we need to focus on getting Cal to promote at some point during this chapter. And then, this chapter is a little bit out of our control in that we do have to worry about the green units, Namie and Colm, as their AI isn't very good. Namie is a sniper and Colm is a thief, and Colm's AI does some very questionable things. But regardless, we end up being in a map that looks like a Scooby-Doo Ghost Town. And Inez is brought here because there are some stationary enemies that only he can reach with a longbow, which is a very annoying thing in my opinion on route maps. Because like having enemies that just won't move at all, even when you're in range, is just really frustrating. Anyways, all that training on Inez will end up paying off as he is able to 2-round KO that entombed monster. We have to rig some crits here in turn 1. First with Tana with a Slim Lance. And then Kyle actually falls short of doubling wood the bonewalker, so we will also have to rig a 3% critical for him, unfortunately. And one other thing is that while this map theoretically can be free turn, the most frustrating part about that clear is that it requires Colm, who is a green unit, to land some very unlikely criticals, on top of the fact that his survival rate is already pretty bad, as I mentioned before. Which I will talk about a little bit more later. And then we do an interesting maneuver here where we have Cormag rescue Kyle. We do this so that we can get Cal to be exposed to more enemies so for him to fight during this upcoming enemy phase. And then we're just gonna have Garrick sit back here because there will be reinforcements that show up later, and we want him to take care of those enemies. Even though Luke got hit here, her promotion actually allows her to live 2 hits at base, as she now has 4 HP. So this is something that could be done on 0%. Namie luckily has pretty good avoid rates, and thankfully we didn't have to rig Colm to like survive yet, but we're going to have to do so later. And then we also had Natasha positioned there so that she can take on the archer, because with Kyle's level up, the archers most likely will not go for him. And Natasha is a very important unit that we need to focus on, because we need her to reach a certain magic threshold so that she can hit certain warp thresholds later on in the game. Now on turn 2, we're just having Sally kind of just spam torch, but like he's not going to be the main focus. One thing I didn't mention was that Natasha doesn't get to like B rank instantaneously when she promotes the bishop. She's like close to B but not quite. And then we have Ines finish off this Entome monster as he gets a lot of experience and hits level 9. He's about 2 kills away and will be able to promote to Ranger by the end of the map. And now we have Natasha reach B rank with that 1 torch. And then we have Cormag take care of the Mouth Doog, I think that's how it's pronounced. And then we have Kyle just take on these enemies that he can easily take care of with a javelin, as all those kills he gets will be enough to get him to promote. That Entone and the Longbow Archer are stationary, for those who didn't notice. Anyways, so we have Cyrene attack the boss of this chapter, and then we have Murkai just move down so that we can get her a kill too. And Garrett can just kind of stay there as we have Natasha just repeatedly spam staves. Anyways, with this enemy phase, it's a relatively straightforward enemy phase. We don't have to do anything too crazy yet. We get that chest key, and 2 of the treasure chests here have some pretty nice stuff that we want. And then while Kyle doesn't quite 1-round KO that bonewalker, that's okay. And we have Natasha just get another kill there, as she needs all the experience in the world. And then as you notice, some of these enemies are starting to approach, and Kyle has a slight chance of death here. He has to dodge like at least once, but he'll be fine for the most part. Now that Kyle has reached level 10, at the start of this turn, after this enemy phase is done, we're going to have him promote to Paladin, as we do need him to get one of the chests that contains a short spear. Thankfully Colm got hit there, which we do need to happen so that he can go into healing AI instead of attacking and getting himself killed. Now we have Inez get this kill on this monster of a poison bow, just to make sure he keeps on getting more experience. And then on this turn, we have Natasha just move up 1 to spam torch so that she can get danced again to like keep improving her staff rank, because we do need her to reach warp, and she does have a somewhat tight window to reach in incomplete recruitment, which is a pretty frustrating thing that we kind of have to deal with for this run, because like in full recruitment you could just take all the time in the world in chapter 10 and 13 for Sally to get there as a sage, but we don't have that option. And then we have Luke deal with this monster so that Cal can like move right ahead, but first we have him finally hit his promotion as he now becomes a paladin. The increased res will allow him to survive the mogul if said mogul attempts to attack Kyle. And the promotion gain, particularly the +1 in speed, will allow him to like double a lot more stuff, at least for these next few chapters. And then Sally is just spamming Torch again, because Torch gives like 5 weapon EXP, which is a lot. And then we made sure Cyrene had a door key so that she can take on the last stationary enemy inside that one area, with all the enemies that are just stationary. Again, I've kind of ranted about how like stationary AI in route maps are just really dumb, unless they're like staffers, then like I think that's fine, but honestly, it's not a great design choice. We had to make sure Colm gets hit by that first bonewalker, but he has to dodge the second one so that we can trigger his healing AI. Since he has 19 HP and he falls a little bit below the 50% mark so that he can preserve himself and not die right away from being dumb. And then Cormag is just doing his usual thing, just stomping everyone with like relative ease. And then now the reinforcements showed up, although they wouldn't show up if we tried to clear this map in 3 turns, but I already kind of talked about why I didn't really like the idea of going for that clear. We decided to just break this one-use javelin because like, since they're stationary and because Cyrene will be right next to said enemy for this upcoming enemy phase, which will end the map, we just decided, hey, why not? And Sally levels up to like level 2. There isn't really much for Myrrh and like Tana to do, but what we can do though is have Natasha kind of just keep spamming Torch. And then we have Luke grab this chest key where we get a secret book. Whether or not we decide to use it or sell it is to be determined later on. And then finally we have Kyle grab this chest key, which is super important as a short spear, which Cyrene needs it for the next chapter for a certain boss. And then that mogul can't really reach Tethys, so like we decide to leave it alone and expose the bottom right end of the screen, which has a lot of enemies just waiting for someone to approach. There is one enemy, the promoted Gargoyle. Cormag actually can't quite one round with a javelin unless he gets a Pierce crit, which he has above 4% chance of doing so, since Pierce is based on level. And then Garrick we positioned a particular way so that we can allow Innes to get his last kill that he needs while keeping Innes from being attacked on enemy phase. Since like these monsters have like 4 move and the force would be more than enough to keep them slowed down. Also to make sure that the monster doesn't use said terrain to advantage. You have to do a bit of a long rig here to get Pierce crit off for Cormag. And now we just let this play out. And yeah, most of these enemies are just kind of a joke, except for that one Gargoyle who can actually take a round of combat, which is why we had to burn all those RMs for. Yeah, Mainly the most frustrating part about doing this chapter had to be the fact that Colm was just suicidal. As we get a critical, which also works too, in place of that. And we also left down Bogo alone so that Natasha can get the kill while still working on her staff rank. And that should be everyone, for the most part, as Navy gets his last kill. As chapter 11 cleared in 4 turns. I'll see you guys next time.